Good morning, all of you. Welcome back to our video session on subject VLSI design. So, today we will be discussing the last unit or last part of unit number first, that is Introduction to EDA tool and VHDL programming. So, already we have covered four parts. Today we are going to conclude this unit number first, and this will be the last part, that is fifth part of unit number first. Now, in last lecture we have discussed sequential statements and its different types, how to syntax each type and all that. Now, today we will start our discussion with the next point, that is concurrent statements. So, as you know, sequential means step by step execution, right? It cannot execute parallelly, a step by step, a line by line it will get executed. That is all about a sequential statement. But in case of concurrent statement, they are executed in a parallel fashion. That means all at a time, in a parallel fashion. Concurrent statements are executed in a parallel fashion at the same simulated time. Means what? At the same time, all the concurrent statements, that means all the statements whichever are the present in the code, that will get executed simultaneously or parallelly. That is difference between the sequential statement and concurrent statement. It does not matter on the order they appear in the architecture. Concurrent statements pass information through signals. So, as these are the parallel statements, so this passes the information from one entity to other entity, or from one part of the code to the other part of the code through signals, because they can define globally. Variable we cannot define globally. So the difference between the signal and variable, that we have already discussed. And the sequence is also doesn't matter for the concurrent statements. Whenever in a code the concurrent statement will find, it will get executed parallelly or simultaneously. Now there are some parallel or concurrent statements that are defined in VHDL. Now, which are those? First one is a process assignment statement, then concurrent signal assignment statement, then conditional signal assignment statement, then selected signal assignment statement, then block statement, then concurrent procedure call, and concurrent assertion statement. So these are the different types of concurrent statements that you can use in a VHDL programming method. Now we will start with the process statement. Now, as we have discussed, the process statement is a concurrent, but the point to be remember is whatever the comes under process statement, that will get executed sequentially. That means the code part after a process statement will get executed sequentially, but process statement itself is a concurrent statement. So this point you have to remember. A process is composed of a set of sequential statement, that is what we have discussed now, but process are themselves concurrent statements. All the process in a design execute concurrently. However, at any time, only one sequential statement is executed within each process. That means you can define a number of process statement that will get executed concurrently, because process statement itself is a concurrent. But the part comes under the process statement that will get executed sequentially. And for example, if suppose you have three process statements you have written in your code, so that all three process statement will get executed parallelly or simultaneously, but at a time only a single part which comes under a process statement, that may be from process 1, that may be from process 2, or that may be from process 3, but only a one part of the process statement will get executed sequentially. That's why this statement is there. That means any given time only one sequential statement is executed within each process. That means the first statement of process, then the process 1, then the first statement of process 2, and the first statement of process 3, all process 1 2 3 will get executed simultaneously or parallelly. But whatever the comes under that process 1 2 3, the step by step execution will happen in each process. So this is all about the process statement. A process communicates with the rest of the design by reading or writing values to and from signals or ports declared outside the process. That means, as whatever the entities, that means the ports we are defining, that is before the process statement. So process statement which communicates with that entity definition with architecture, whatever you have designed your code. So this is what the syntax of process statement: first label, then process, then its sensitivity list, then process declaration part, then begin statement, and after begin, always remember, as we have discussed, after process statement that has to get executed sequentially. So there will be a sequential statements, then you have to end the process. And within that sequential statement you can use even variables, because they are locally used, they are used or they are valid until that process runs. Once you end process, the significance of that variables will also comes to end. So this is about the process statement. Now this process declaration part defines object that are local to the process. So this process declaration part defines object which are local to that process, they are not global to entity. And so they can be of any of the following things: variable declaration, constant declaration, type declaration, subtype declaration, subprogram, alias declaration, or use any particular clause. So sequential statements we have already discussed, so we need not to discuss it again. Now the process statement. So this is the example how you can syntax the process statement. So first the architecture A2 of example is, then we have defined the signal, then PR1, that means process 1, then begin. After begin, that and underscore out, that line will get executed sequentially. Then end process 1, then process 2 we have defined, then begin, then or underscore out, that also line will get executed sequentially because that comes under a process. But process 1, that means PR1 and PR2, that both lines will get executed simultaneously because that process is a concurrent statement, but the part under that PR1 and PR2 is a sequential, so that will get executed sequentially. But that both processes, that means PR1 and PR2, both processes will get executed concurrently or parallelly or simultaneously. So this example clears that idea. Now concurrent signal assignment statement. Now another form of a signal assignment is a concurrent signal assignment statement. We have already discussed the sequential signal assignment, which is used outside a process but within an architecture. So it is a part of architecture, that means we are using that signal in a architecture part, but we are defining that outside a process. Normally it defines always before the process statement. So this is what syntax of that concurrent signal assignment: target signal, then expression, after time expression. That will, it will assign a new value to the old value, or it will get replace the target signal with the new time equation. But again the point is to remember, it is not get replaced immediately, it will get replaced at next simulation time, it will get replaced at next simulation time. But in case of variable, it will get replaced immediately. Similar to sequential statements, after the clause is ignored by the synthesizer. That means the clause is ignored by the synthesizer. Any signal on the right side of the assignment is like a sensitivity list element. So any signal on the right side of the assignment is like a sensitivity list. That means which operation you want to perform after with that signal. So that is all about the sensitivity list. Then concurrent signal assignment. So this is the example. These three boxes shows the example of how you can use the concurrent signal assignment statement. So first box shows the architecture, then you have defined some signals, then end architecture, then again in second box architecture A3, then again you have defined some signals. Now in that process statement again begin, so after begin the lines are executed sequentially. So in that begin we are using that signals that are we are defined before the process statement. So you can use it is a part of architecture, but it is defined outside the process statement. So these are the three examples that you can use, or you can understand how to use a concurrent signal assignment statement. Now conditional signal assignments. So we will now discuss the conditional signal assignment statement. A conditional signal assignment is a concurrent statement and has one target but can have more than one expression. Conditional signal assignment is a concurrent statement that has only a one target but can have more than one expression. That means you can use more than one condition. If this happens then this, or this happens then do this, also do this, likewise you can assign one or more conditions or one or more expressions. If one condition evaluate to true, then the corresponding expression is used, otherwise the remaining expression is used. That means if this happens then do this, otherwise do this. The first condition, then it will follow the first instruction, otherwise it will follow the next instruction. So this is how this conditional signal assignment statement works. So this is about the syntax of conditional signal assignment statement. Target, then expression, then after time expression, when, condition, the else, second expression. That means if the first condition validates or first condition is true, then it will execute the first after time expression, otherwise else it will execute after statement after else. That means the second part of the expression. You cannot use a conditional signal assignment in if statement. That means under if statement we cannot use the conditional signal assignment statement. And why it is that? Because if statement is sequential statement and conditional signal assignment is concurrent statement, so you cannot use that under a if statement part. So this is the example of conditional signal statement. So again the same thing we are doing here, we are defining the architecture, then signals, integer, then begin, process, the process after begin, then if part we are defining. So in a second box after if part you cannot define that conditional signal assignment statement. You can simply define the if else statement, if else else if statement, because these are the sequential statements and that will get executed sequentially too. So these are the examples of how to use the conditional signal assignment statements. Now select signal assignments. A selective signal assignments can have only one target and can have only one with expression. That means it has only one target and it has only a one expression. This value is tested for a match in a manner similar to the case statement. So it is more of similar with a case statement. For example, as we have discussed, the case statement that we are using, it is also a sequential statement because that we are using after process statement. So any statement, any program part that comes after process, that are the sequential part. So you just remember this point forever. So this is the syntax of this selected signal assignment statement. With choice expression select, then target expression, then after time expression, then when choices, then expression, then after time expression, when choices. So you can give the choices. So this is about the selected signal assignment statement. And again, you cannot use selected signal assignment in a process. So you cannot use this part in a process statement. You can use after process statement or under process statement. So this is about the selected signal assignment. Now again we will discuss the example of this. So this slide or this boxes shows example of how to use this selected signal assignment statement. So process, then select A, B, C begin. Now case select is now when 0 vertical line 1 vertical line 2, a Z will get assigned value of A. When 3 to 0, then Z will get B. When others, Z will get C. End case, end process. So this is how the selected signal assignment, it is moreover similar to the case statement that we have already discussed. So you can use the selected signal assignment statement like this. So this is the examples of selected signal assignment statement. You can go through it. Now the next part is a block statement. So what do you mean by block statements? Blocks allows the designer to logically group sections of a concurrent model, sections that are not scheduled to be used in other models, and that's why blocks are used instead of components. So to make the complexity of design easy, the designers can use the block statement to group a sections of a concurrent models. That means the concurrent programming part, or whatever the part of your VHDL code that will get executed concurrently, so you can group that part into a one thing. So for that purpose the block statements you can use. So this is the syntax of block statement. Blocks are used to organize a set of concurrent statement hierarchically. That means because the all concurrent statements are going to be executed in a parallel time, that means in a simultaneously, and after that process statement each line will get executed at a time. That means step by step, line by line execution, because it are sequential execution. So block statement allows the designer to group the concurrent models present in your VHDL program. So for that purpose you can use the block statement. So this is the label of block statement. Block, then declarative part, begin, concurrent statements, end block. So after block you can group all the concurrent modules present into your program. A block declarative part defines objects that are local to the block and can have any of the following items. So again this block declarative part can be of any of the following type that you can use, and this part is local to the block. That means again you cannot use that part globally, unlike a signal you can use globally, because that is a, we have defined globally. That means same signal can be used in different entities, but block you cannot use with different, you can simply group the modules, but you cannot use this globally. So this is the block declarative part. So it can be of a signal declaration type, then constant declaration type, then type declaration, subtype declaration, subprogram body, alias declaration, use clause, then component declaration. Objects declared in a block are visible to that block and all blocks nested within. So objects that are declared in a block are visible to everyone to that particular block. That means whatever the group of concurrent modules you have gathered together, so that objects are visible to all that concurrent modules present within that block, and all blocks are nested within. That means whatever the groups or whatever the different concurrent modules you have gathered together that are nested within that block, that means that are connected with each other within that same block. When a child block declares an object within with the same name as the one in the parent block, that means if you want to use block under a block, so the main block, that is parent block, you can use with the same name as that of child block. That means if you want to declare a block under block, that is child block, the object with the same name as the one in the parent block, that you can use in a child block. So means you can use the objects of your parent block, but parent you cannot use the objects of another child block. So this is the difference between the parent block and child block. So this is the example of block statement, how to use that block statement. So this, first we have declared the architecture, then signal, then B1, that means block 1. So in that block 1 signal S is bit, then after begin block 1, then signal S integer after begin, out will get value of s and block 1 of 1. That 1 of 1 is a child block and block b1 is a parent block. So you have to understand this, and this slide show how to use a block statement in a VHDL programming. So it has, and it is not case that you have only one child block. You can have such a many child blocks, b1 of 1, b1 of 2, b1 of 3, and you can nested together or that are nested by default. Once you form the block, that means once you gather the all concurrent modules under a block, that are getting nested with each other within the same block. So this is about a block statement. Now concurrent procedure calls. Now what do you mean by concurrent procedure calls? A concurrent procedure call is a procedure call that is executed outside of a process. It stands alone in an architecture. Concurrent procedure call, that means it executed outside of the process. That means that this concurrent procedure call is a procedure call that is executed outside of the process. It is not a part of process, and it stand alone in a architecture. So has in out and in out parameters. That means it has in either or out or in out parameters. May have more than one return value. Again it may have more than one return value. It considered a statement. It is also considered a statement. Is equivalent to a process containing a signal procedure call. It is equivalent to a process statement containing a signal procedure call. So this is about the concurrent procedure call. Now we will discuss the example of the same. Now this is the example of concurrent procedure call. So architecture, then begin, then procedure any a and b, and after that the architecture begin, then process again, procedure, you have defined the variables a and b, wait a and b, and process and architecture. So this is how you can use a concurrent procedure call. So this is the example so that you can use a concurrent procedure calls. Now concurrent assertion statement. So we will discuss the concurrent assertion statement. So what is this? A concurrent assertion statement performs the same action and is used for the same reason as the sequential assertion statement within a process. So whatever the sequential assertion statement that we are using under a process statement, for the same reason you can use a concurrent assertion statement. That means that will perform the same action that performs the sequential assertion statement within a process. That means whatever the sequential assignment statement present within a process, the same action concurrent assertion statement will also perform. But the point to be remembered is this statement is used for simulation purpose only and will be ignored by the synthesis tool. That means when you are going to simulate something, this statement will be considered, but it cannot executed in a synthesis. Means when you are synthesizing your code, this statement simply get ignored. But when you are simulating your code, this statement will be considered. So this is about the concurrent assertion statement. Now we will discuss something about the subprograms. Subprograms consist of procedures and functions that can be invoked repeatedly from different locations in a VHDL description. Now, VHDL provides two kinds of subprogram, procedures and functions. So, we have already discussed what is mean by subprogram. So, you can define subprogram in a your packages or library, and you can have that subprogram part, you can call that subprogram in your main entity anytime. The same subprogram can be called by different entities too. So this is about the subprogram that we have already discussed. Now it has, there are two types of subprograms provided in a VHDL. First is a procedure and second one is a function. Now we will discuss the first one, that is functions. So functions, what do you mean by these functions? That are invoked as expressions, always return just one argument. All parameters of function must be of mode input that means function all be of in. All parameters of function must be class of signal or constant, that means function should be in type, that means it will always receive a value, it cannot be a bidirectional. Then it can be a class of signal or constant, must declare the type of value it returns, that means whatever the data type or data it returns, you must define its a data type, what value it is going to return to you. So you have to define its a data type, and it cannot contain wait statement, that means function cannot contain the wait statement. So these are the 6 points that you must remember when you are using a function. Again I will repeat, that are invoked as expressions, that always returns only a one argument, a single argument. All parameters of function must be of mode in, that means it is always input, that cannot be out or in out. All parameters of function must be a class of signal or constant, and it must declare a type of value, a data type of value that it going to receive or it going to return, and it cannot include wait statement. So you cannot use wait statement in a function. So this is about the function. Now this is the syntax of function. So function, then identifier, then interface list, then its return type is, then subprogram declarative part, begin, then sequential statement, and in identifier. The identifier defines the name of the function, and then the interface list defines the formal parameters of the function, and each parameter is defined using the following syntax. That means this formal parameters has also its own syntax, and that now we will discuss. So this function example we are going to discuss now. Again, it can be either class of signal or constant. So a class of object refers to a constant on signal, and the mode of a object must be in, that means input mode. If no mode is specified, the parameter interpret as a mode in. If no class is specified, a parameter are interpreted as class constant. So this is the function part. Function C to F, a C is a real, return real, that means real is that type of returned argument that is going to return, so it is a type of real numbers. Now again by default it will be understood as a constant C input real. So if you haven't mentioned the class, by default it will take as a constant, and if you haven't mentioned the mode, by default it will considered as a input mode. So this is about the functions. So this example shows how to use a functions in your VHDL program. Now we will discuss the procedures. Now what do you mean by procedures? Procedures are invoked as a statement. It can return none, one or more arguments. Parameter of procedure may be of in, out and in out. So you can use anything. All parameters must be of type signal, constant or variable, and it may contain wait statement. So this is the difference between the procedure and function. So this is the difference between the function and procedure. So in a procedure you can use in, out or in out mode. The class may be of signal, constant and variable. So in a function the variable cannot valid, only signals and constant, but in a procedure class may be of signal, constant and variable, and it may contain wait statement, and it can return nothing, one or more than one argument, but function has written only one argument. So this is the difference between the functions and procedures. Now this is the syntax for procedures. Procedures, then identifier interface list, then subprogram declarative atom, begin, then sequential statement and end identifier. The identifier defines the name of the procedure, and the interface list defines the formal parameters of the procedure. Now again this each parameter is defined using following syntax. So where the class of the object refers to a constant, variable or signal, and mode of the object may be in, out or in out. If nothing mode you have specified, by default it will considered as a in mode, and if no class is specified, then by default it will treat that class as a constant. So if you want to use some other class, that means signal or variable, so you have to define that class as a signal or variable, otherwise by default it will considered as a constant. And if you want to use a bidirectional mode, that means in out mode, so you have to specify that mode also, otherwise by default it will consider it as only in mode, that means input mode. So this is about the procedure and the syntax that we have already discussed. Now this slide show how to use the procedure in a VHDL program. So the first block, again you haven't mentioned its class, right? So by default it will considered as a constant, and if mode you haven't mentioned, by default it considered as a in mode, that means input mode. In another mode you have defined its class as a variable, so it will treat it as a variable, and also you have defined its mode, that means whether it is input, output or in out. So these are the two examples of procedure, so that you can understand how to use the procedures in a VHDL programming. So now the next part we will discuss about the packages. Now we will discuss about the packages. You can create a package to store common subprograms. As we have already discussed, these subprograms are stored in the package part, data types, constant, etc., that you can use in more than one design. A package consists of two parts, a package declaration and package body. Package declaration defines the interface for the package, and its syntax is given at package, package name, then package declarative part, then end package name. So package declaration defines the interface for a package, that means to that package and the subprograms present within that package. So it is a like a interface between them. And now this is about the package and package body. This part we have already discussed in our last. Now before conclude this unit number first, we will summarize all the points in a brief, that what we have discussed in this unit number first, that we have started our discussion with the VHDL programming, the history of VHDL, what do you mean by HDL, that we have discussed, then history of VHDL, different types of HDL, that means VHDL and Verilog, so difference between the VHDL and Verilog that we have discussed. Now what are the features of VHDL, advantages and disadvantage of VHDL, that we have discussed. Then we have started with the actual programming techniques or actual VHDL programming techniques, how to write a program and simulate code in a VA or using VHDL language. So now in that we have started our discussion of the VHDL programming technique with its basic part, that means any VHDL code has three basic parts: entity, architecture and the libraries. So libraries, entities and architecture, so any VHDL program must have this basic part. Now again we have discussed each and every part in detail. We have discussed the entity, we have discussed the architecture, its different types, then packages that we have discussed, then different configurations that we have discussed, then architecture part that we have discussed. Now this is all about the basic part of VHDL programming. Then we have discussed different style of modeling, that means data flow, behavioral and structural. So we have discussed the different types of or different styles of modeling you can use within the architecture part. So architecture can be of a behavioral style or a data flow style, or it can be of structural type. So in structural type the process statement is not used. So we have discussed that part also. Then we have moved towards the different data objects, then operands types, then we have discussed the sequential statements, the different declarative part of the sequential statements. Then we have discussed the concurrent statements. What do you mean by concurrent statements? The difference between the signal variable, difference between the function and procedure. Then packages we have discussed, then different types of concurrent statements we have discussed, different types of sequential statement that we have discussed, what is difference between the concurrent statement and sequential statement that we have discussed. So this is all about the VHDL programming technique. Now with this discussion we will conclude the unit number first is over, and this will be the last part of unit number first. Now again, it's my request to you, don't hesitate to ask the doubt. If you have any doubt, you are free to ask me. Either you can mail me or you can simply put your queries on the respective WhatsApp group. Definitely I will get back to you. Now in the next lecture we will start with our next unit. So again I wish you all the best. Stay home, stay safe. Thank you.